Hello, witches and wizards. Today I am going to be talking to you about all of the spells that you guys are going to need to know for Hogwarts Legacy. Obviously, the game is coming out in less than a week. It's a couple of days, really, now, I think I can safely say. And yeah, there's so much hype still going on. The launch trailer was amazing. Obviously, all of the little posts that we're getting about the different things like petting the cat and all these different things that have been coming on like Twitter and swimming and like all this stuff. Anyways, it's just been an absolute whirlwind of information, and I'm just literally, I feel like I'm just trying to stay afloat with all the information right now, just even trying to remember all of it myself that we're going to be able to do, because I'm just so excited. I'm just like, it's like, okay, calm down and use your brain to do videos and stop just jumping around the house and being like, I'm going to Hogwarts. Like, okay, we know. Anyways, the story of my life. Little personal information there. Okay, so we're going to be talking about all of the spells that we are going to be using at Hogwarts. Now, this includes charms, jinxes, and curses. So you guys are going to want to stick around. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure you guys give it a magical thumbs up for me. Of course, subscribe if you guys are new, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you guys don't miss any of the content here on the channel. I also have channel memberships with some Disney and Harry Potter emotes right now. So if you guys want to check that out, you can click join, that is right beside the subscribe and the like button, and check those out to find out more information about the tiers. So hopefully you join the Kitty team and be a part of the community. You will also get access to the Discord right now, which is sort of like closed and it's a little bit more secure, but you guys will get all of the additional information from all the different Discords and stuff like that for some of your favorite games. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with charms, because charms are kind of like, I want to say like our bread and butter to magic. Now, there's going to be a lot more, I believe, that we will be learning as we go along, but these are the confirmed spells, and there's over 20 of them. Okay, that is a lot. So I'm gonna sort of dive into it. One more thing though is I have done little shorter versions of this video, so if you guys are looking for more quick information, check out my YouTube shorts, because I have been doing videos for all of them, so those should pretty much all be up by now. So if you guys have been keeping up with those, then this is kind of a more in-depth version of those. Okay, so our first one, and I had to keep this for first, I'm so sorry. It's Harry Potter's, essentially, his bread and butter, literally, right? And since I said charms are like bread and butter, yeah, anyway. Harry Potter uses Expelliarmus so much. It is crazy. It is his favorite spell to use, and he just likes disarming people. Right? He does. He doesn't like to hurt anybody, but he's just a nice guy. He's a nice guy, and it's one of those ones that you don't need a whole lot of talent for, right? But you need a little bit more than Neville Longbottom, okay? Neville turns out to be pretty awesome in the end, but again, this is like a very basic spell that every witch or wizard needs to know, especially when they are dueling. So it causes whatever someone is holding to fly away. So this doesn't just mean their wand, it could be anything. If used too forcefully, it can knock out the target. So if you have a little bit of extra rage going on, maybe you're upset about something, it can do that. So this is an aggressive spell at times, but for the most part, it usually just disarms. We have seen it many times in the different films and stuff like that, so you guys kind of get an idea of what a more aggressive Expelliarmus would look like. The next spell we are going to talk about is Accio. This is also known as the Summoning Charm. This spell we have seen even in the movies. This is such a useful spell. It summons objects to the caster, potentially over a significant distance. Let's say someone took your journal and you're like, that's my journal. Accio, Steffi's journal. Flies to you, right? So it kind of just more serves as a useful tool that way. Now, if you're going around actual Hogwarts, it can pull us to a specific target. So Accio is going to be very useful. You guys can see all of the gameplay options and stuff beside. I'll try and keep it so short so I don't have to replay the clips for you guys. Next, Depulso. So that sends the target flying towards a specific location. It is the opposite of the Summoning Charm. So that is opposite of Accio. We want to send things away. So Accio brings it in. Depulso sends it away. This is going to be very, very useful for us, believe it or not. I think a lot of people underestimate how useful Depulso is. And I think you guys will see that when you play Hogwarts Legacy. The next spell is going to be a little bit more of a aggressive one, okay? So this charm, I almost borderline would say, like, it's not a curse. I know it's not a curse, but I'm going to call it an aggressive charm, okay? Defindo, it kind of acts as like a minor version of like Sectum Sempra in my mind. So, and we've seen that in action if you've watched the movies. It's kind of scary. Defindo, it rips, tears, shreds, or otherwise physically damages the target. So it acts as like a slash or a cut. So it will rip your shirt or your robes or your tie. In my case, I'm pretty much maybe all of the above. And yes, it can cut the skin as well. So it does act as a very violent spell. And since Sectum Sempra, because Snape isn't alive yet, isn't invented, it basically is acting as that spell. Yeah. Sectum Sempra is really violent though, so that's on like a whole nother level. The next charm I want to talk about is Lumos. This one you guys know so well, right? I can even demonstrate it for you. Lumos. Right? I just did it. It's perfect. So essentially, Lumos acts as like our flashlight, right? So it's a charm that creates a narrow beam of light that shines from the caster's wand tip. Now, there are other variations of Lumos, like Lumos Maxima, that creates more light from the caster's wand tip. So again, just kind of keep in mind that you guys will be learning lots of different forms of Lumos. So yeah, some are just more powerful. The next one we are going to talk about, and I can actually demo this one as well, is Nox. Did you see that? Lumos. Nox. So Nox turns off the flashlight, right? Turns off the little beam of light from the wand tip. So it just extinguishes light. Very simple. The next one is fun, and it kind of sounds like stupid, but it's not. I always find that I feel without that British accent, it really kind of reminds me of the word stupid. So anyway, Stupefy. Yes, that is the next spell. So this one stuns the victim, okay? If used too forcefully, it will put the victim in an unconscious state. So that, again, kind of acts a little bit like Expelliarmus does. You can use the spell, right? And it can just stun somebody. But if you do it too hard, this can put them unconscious, which is similar to Expelliarmus, where, again, it can knock the target essentially off their feet and go flying. So they can be used both ways, but again, I think it depends how much passion and again how much like emotion in terms of like anger or anything like that kind of gets directed into your wand. So I think that really is what sort of makes the difference there, because there's no separate incantation for it, right? Like Lumos Maxima versus just Lumos. It's just a different sort of power in the actual spell. The next one we're going to talk about, very, very simple, is Reparo. So it's used to repair objects. Now, there's been different variations of this spell that we've even heard over, the Harry Potter films and books and all that kind of stuff. The other term is, for example, to repair Harry's glasses would be Oculus Reparo, right? So just mends the glasses. So it's mending something specific. So Reparo is very useful, and I think we are going to use that quite a bit, especially when we're, putting back together a bridge, or maybe it's a picture or piece of paper or anything that we kind of discover along the way. We're going to need to kind of fix it, and we'll be able to either read it or use whatever the object is. The next one is going to be Protego. Protego is going to be our bread and butter in battle. It's going to save our necks a lot of the time, besides dodging, right? Protego is very useful. It is known as the shield charm. It is used to protect and defend against minor to moderate jinxes. Now, there is other variations of Protego, like Lumos, right? So if you're looking for a more powerful version of Protego, then they are out there, and you most likely are going to learn about them at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. But again, I am just sort of sharing with you guys the known spells right now, but have a heads up, they will become more powerful, and they have hinted at it that they will become more powerful. So it just depends on, how I guess advanced magic is at this point in time. It's the 1800s, right? I know it's the late 1800s, but it's still the 1800s. And magic definitely, and especially brooms, right, are not as advanced. So you have to kind of keep that in mind sort of as we're roaming around. There are going to be some sort of gray kind of areas with that, but I assume Protego will be pretty advanced. And again, we already know that there is going to be different variations of it available in the game. It's just a matter of which ones. The one nice thing about Protego, too, it doesn't just defend, it also rebounds spells back at the caster. So I did a video with all of my controls and stuff like that. I actually don't know which one's technically going up first at this point, but if I haven't put it up, it is going up as the next video. It just depends on which one's edited first, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Essentially, one's going to be like a tap, and then one's going to be like a tap and hold, right? So this is going to be really important for Protego, and it is going to be important that you guys know what button that is, right? That you tap versus tap and hold. So the tap and hold is going to be what sends it back. So, again, very, very useful. We're going to use it a lot while we're dueling, so memorize it. Next, Revelio. Revelio, I think, again, is going to be used a lot. It is going to be used, essentially, it is used to reveal hidden objects. So as we're roaming around outside or in Hogwarts itself, or maybe in Hogsmeade, we are going to need to hit Revelio, and it'll sort of illuminate all the different chests and different items that we can search and stuff like that. It's going to show all of it for us so we can go around and sort of easily find things. So I hope that is a spell that we learn like almost right away, because I think it's going to be so useful as we explore the enormous Hogwarts castle. The next one I'm going to talk about is probably one of my favorites, because I kind of always think about it as warmth. I immediately go, warmth. Incendio. So it is known as the fire-making spell, which produces fire from the caster's wand tip, okay? So that is going to be very powerful, and we are really going to take advantage of that one. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. There's a lot of different clips sort of, showing what that looks like, and it's amazing, right? We can use it a lot. It's not going to be like dragon fire, but it's still going to be pretty warm. Next is going to be Glacius. Now, this was a little bit hard to get perfect clips of because technically it is not a spell that is in the books or the movies, but it was in like an old Harry Potter video game, and it was... Oh, it's so old. Like I've never played it before, unfortunately, before my time of video games. But anyways, it is very useful. It shoots cold air and can freeze the target, turning them to ice. So I had to do quite a bit of research on this. So it doesn't actually shoot out like frozen water or something like that. It just shoots cold air. So if somebody is wet, right, that is where it's going to be the most useful. So we might need a follow-up spell with that, right? Produce water, freeze it. I think that could be really great. So it could act as a good follow-up one, but also too, again, if this climate around us is raining, Glacius could be really, really handy. The next one we're going to talk about is one that I think we're going to use a lot more than people think, but I think for the most part, it's not a spell that I think you would use too much, but I think as we're exploring, we're actually going to use it a lot, especially around the castle. So it's called Descendo, and it causes the target to move downwards. It acts as like a way to sort of pull down a ladder, right? Or something like that. So Descendo is going to be pretty useful, I think, around the actual castle. The next one is Wingardium Leviosa. Make the ga nice and long. So this spell, I think it's probably the most famous spell because of how Hermione does it in the films. Thank you so much for doing your acting job so well. Emma Watson, you are forever a legend, an absolute legend, and no one will ever replace you as Hermione in my eyes. Never. I don't care. It's never going to happen. And it's unfortunate, but it's just how it is. She was just too good at the role. It is known as the levitation charm, and it is a spell that makes objects fly. Now, this one, I want you to remember, it's objects, not people. And when I was doing my YouTube shorts, okay, I had to actually re-record it so many times because I kept continuing to talk and like I didn't mean to really, but I kept like going on beyond. Remember, it's objects, not people. And I think when I was doing that, I was trying to keep like really sort of like calm and quiet, and like I can do that when I'm like usually like reading or something like that, right? But I think I kind of giggled a little bit at the end, just like a tiny bit. I don't know if anybody picked it up, but nobody called me out on it, but every time I listen to it, I'm like, yep, I totally giggled. But basically I really wanted to talk in more detail about this. So it's objects, okay? So pretty much if somebody was wearing, we'll just say they're wearing like just their dressing gown, right? Or I have so many different really inappropriate things to actually say, and I really don't want to say it, but let's say somebody has like a long sort of nightgown on and that's all they have on, okay? And you use Wingardium Leviosa on the person. You're just using it on their clothing. So if they decided as they're flying in the air, they just were gonna like stick their arms all the way up and then they just sort of fall out of their clothes, well, yes, they will be naked dueling you, and I think that will be more of a shock than anything else. But be warned, they will fall to the ground, which means they are back on their feet again. Probably a little cold, but I thought it was pretty funny. And so, and actually, when this spell was first created, the person who created it decided that they were going to do it off like a really high height, right? And show off a little bit. But they couldn't figure out how to get down. And to their surprise, though, when they took off their clothing, they had a nice long fall. They broke apparently a lot of bones. Yes, if you guys want to know more about that, feel free to ask me in the comments. But I will try and keep it a little bit shorter than I'm already doing. So basically, again, it's objects, not people, but it can be the objects that the person is wearing. So anyways, I thought that was like a little bit of a funny sort of side thing that you guys might kind of find funny and sort of enjoy hearing about. Next, we are going to talk about curses. Curses! Yay! For those of you guys that are evil witches and wizards, most of you belonging in Slytherin, I would assume. Yes. We are going to start with the 3 unforgivable curses. We're coming out strong now with the curses. First one, which is probably the most famous, Avada Kedavra. Okay? It is known as the killing curse. And yes, Harry Potter, to this day, is still the only person that has survived that spell. Curse. Both. Curse. All right? So essentially, it kills you, you're dead instantly. Regardless of where it hits on the person's body, regardless if you have Protego being used, doesn't matter how strong it is, that is coming at you, you cannot do anything but potentially dodge it if you are lucky and really fast, right? But for the most part, if that hits you, there is no do-overs on that one, unfortunately. Maybe if you have a time turner or someone uses a time turner to save you, I don't know. That really wasn't discussed, but I would assume that would be the only way. So you better have somebody that really wants to save your skin there. But changing time is a very dangerous thing. So it is known to have a flash of green light that comes from the end of the caster's wand, and apparently a rushing noise, a very loud rushing noise. So I would imagine that besides someone screaming it out to make everybody turn and look to see who it's going at, let's say, you are going to get quite a loud whoosh. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So 2 ways besides just hearing it to know that it is coming. The next unforgivable curse is Crucio. Now, some say that this just makes you beg for death. So you may as well just use the first unforgivable curse, right, on them. And so Neville Longbottom's parents actually were living proof of how destructive and how horrible this curse really is. It basically just made them brain dead, right? So they just look around. But very Gilderoy Lockhart after. I know it's kind of silly, but maybe with a little bit less happiness involved. I don't know, but yeah, when Obliviate is used on Gilderoy, I feel like it's kind of a similar sort of after effect. So you guys remember how devastating that was, right? Especially in the books. Oh my gosh. Gilderoy really, he lost everything. I mean, not that he didn't deserve it in a way, but he wasn't the biggest villain of all time, right? But I guess he did it to himself. But Crucio is known as the Cruciatus curse. Now, this curse causes extreme pain, torture. It's literally just torturous pain. And when this is used, it is described as having knives being driven deep into the body. So it's like invisible knives that don't make you bleed, but it just feels like that. And if you have that for too long, I mean, that kind of pain, and it's not killing you, it's just like, oh my gosh. Now, the thing is with Crucio, you have to really, truly have the desire to cause someone the pain, okay? So we saw Harry try and use it actually on Bellatrix, and it didn't work because he really didn't have the true intent on hurting that person. He wanted to hurt her, but like not really. He didn't have that like mean bone in his body. But if Bellatrix were to do it on him, oh, it would definitely work. So they have to really be like have true spite or anger in order for it to work. You can't just be like enraged and angry or upset. And that was all the things Harry actually felt when he was casting that, because Sirius had just died, right? And so essentially he just wanted like some quick little, revenge almost, but it wasn't deep enough that it would actually work. Now we go to the third and final one. God, these are making me almost sad to talk about. These are so awful. It's Imperio. I wonder if you guys are going to actually be learning these spells or not in Hogwarts Legacy. If you guys are still around, make sure you let me know which ones you're planning to use the most, or maybe you're just going to be playing as the hero. I definitely am thinking play the hero, but I know it will be tempting just to see the animation for it. But you know what the thing is that since I'm going to be playing it over so many times with the different houses after I beat it the first time, it's just like, yeah, I'm eventually going to do like a psychopath killing machine where I'm going to be using it every 2 seconds in battle. So I just don't know if I want to do that for my first playthrough and be just an absolute baddie. But anyways, Imperio is known as the Imperious Curse. Now this one is kind of wicked in its own way. So this curse places the victim in a dreamlike state in which they are subject to the will of the caster. So if I use that on you, I can basically control you like a little puppet, which is quite evil, really, when you think about it, right? And this is one of the things where a lot of the Death Eaters, after Voldemort fell, they were all like, I was under the Imperious Curse. It wasn't me. I wasn't actually thinking. So the Malfoys actually were famously known for pretending that they were under the Imperious Curse the whole time. And that's why they got off, being a prominent, obviously, wizard family. And claiming that, I think that is where their blood won that argument. So we have 2 more curses before we move to the Jinxes. So the next one, and this one's pretty well known in the first movie. You guys did see it. And in the books, it's also used as well. And we are going to be using it a lot in game. I've seen so many clips of this particular curse being used. And you know what was funny? I almost had, when I was doing the short for this initially, I was like, I forgot this goes under the curse category. Like, I just kind of forgot, I guess, that this is actually a curse because it is kind of mean. So I'm wondering how this will sort of play out. I mean, it's good to know some curses. This is an unforgivable one, but it's just kind of interesting. Anyways, Petrificus Totalus. This one is used to temporarily bind the victim's body in a position much like a soldier. So it's kind of like you use it and they just go stiff. Yep. And then they pretty much fall over. That's what usually happens. So it just basically immobilizes the target. They can't use their wands, they can't do anything. Now, it is a temporary thing, and this one is known as the Body Bind Curse. That's another way that you guys might remember it, or you'll hear it actually in the game. Like, oh, we're going to learn the Body Bind Curse. Do you know what that is? Petrificus Totalus. So, you know, they will throw little like quiz questions in there, I'm sure, during the actual gameplay. So keep that one in mind, that one is the Body Bind Curse. The next and final curse that we'll be talking about today is Confringo. So this causes anything it comes in contact with to explode. I don't know why I just started feeling like I just started smiling. I feel like it's quite an exciting curse, to be honest. I feel like this one, even as a Gryffindor, I really want to use it. I swear this doesn't make me a Slytherin. I really like it. So I would say this one's kind of fun, and I'm probably going to use this one a lot when I learn it. So basically, it's going to cause it to burst into flames, okay? So it's not only going to explode, right? So if I use this on a person, it's like they're just going to burst into flames. It's quite violent. I almost want to say it's kind of like a grenade, you know, in some ways. It's like the grenade from our one. Anyways, moving on. So the interesting thing about this here, and I'm not really going to talk about Expulso today because it's not like officially confirmed, and that's kind of the direction I'm going. There's so many more spells I really, really want to talk about, but I really think it would have just made this video like way too long. So if you guys want to hear more, feel free to put that in the comments. So Confringo uses heat for explosion, okay? While Expulso uses pressure. So if I was talking about Expulso, I'd be definitely I am kind of talking about it, aren't I? I'm going to have to stop doing this. Otherwise, I'm going to be editing this video for a long time, removing a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, so just kind of think of Confringo. It uses heat, right? So it's kind of similar to Incendio, but like not really, because obviously one's like fire and this one's just sort of using heat. I guess you could say Glacius is like kind of almost the opposite of that. So that's kind of where I kind of wonder in some ways where Glacius, could that technically kind of go under curse since it's more like cold air? But it is under a charm when I looked it up. But again, we don't have a ton of information from it at this moment, just because again, like it's like an old video game type of thing. But just something interesting I thought that I would sort of bring up there, and I will leave the curses there, and we will move on to Jinxes. Hopefully I didn't have to edit out too much stuff there. Okay. And going forward, I feel like for time. So now we'll finish up with the Jinxes here. Oppugno. This Jinx can make the targeted objects attack the victim. So probably the most famous one was when Hermione uses it with birds. So I know some people might think it's kind of like Imperio a little bit, but it only serves as really to attack, right? Whereas Imperio, you can control, make them say things, do things. They're like a zombie walking around under your control, right? So Imperio is going to be crazy for when we're dueling, because you can make a target after a few seconds after you hit them with it. They'll start fighting, like, you know, their allies, right? So essentially they become your ally, and then yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So Oppugno doesn't kind of work like that, but it just basically is like a, you know, you use it on sort of like, I don't want to say a lesser being, but, you know, if you were to use it on something like a bird or fish, not that you want to use it on fish per se, you just get a bunch of magic carp slaps in the face, I guess. But yes, I'm just imagining that could actually be kind of painful. Let's hope none of them actually evolve the magic carp. Okay, moving on. We're not talking about Pokemon. So that is the only Jinx I'm going to be talking about with you guys today. So 20 plus spells. That is crazy. It did not really feel like 20 plus spells, but I did talk about some additional ones there while I was talking. Obviously, Protego having different variations, Lumos having like Lumos Maxima, or again, other variations. So we've definitely talked about a lot. I think though there's going to be a lot more for us to actually kind of learn about. So again, if you guys are interested in a follow-up video, please let me know. I would be more than happy to do that. So just let me know in the comment section below if that's something you guys would find useful after the game comes out. If you haven't given the video a thumbs up yet, please do. Subscribe if you guys are new. And I look forward to seeing all of you for the release of Hogwarts Legacy. Yay! Oh my gosh, I told you. My brain worked. This is actually great. Right at the beginning I said I'm so excited. My brain sometimes just doesn't work. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming. It worked. So now I can go run around the house and not think. Okay, I'm going, I promise. Have a wonderful magical day, and I will see you next time.